Well, good morning. I actually sat here for about an hour waiting for 555 to get here because I wanted to start this video at 555. And the title of the video is Ron Speaks to Chinese Dragon Family Elders. As I'm sure you're aware, I've been in constant communication with your ambassador since April of last year. He and I have become quite good friends. I have been in total alignment with his goal of implementing 555 to overcome the financial tyranny of 666, which is nothing more than a human debt slave system. To me, his war on ignorance begins with educating people about that system to empower them, us, to become truly free. He wanted those goals so badly that he was willing to put up his own funds to finance his vision of a better world. However, because his resources are not nearly as vast as your own, he felt the need to make the funds available as 3-year loans. I saw this as Coca-Cola Lite and have been removed from the team. He often told me of your great wisdom. Can you not see that ending financial tyranny and the human debt slave system begins by eliminating debt, not by creating new debtors? Many of us long for a new and better world, and I have looked not to the corrupt West, but to the East, China and Russia especially, to lead the world in the human quest for freedom. Realizing that your culture places great stock in saving face, may I be so bold as to suggest that the best way you can save face is to help free humanity from the bonds of debt and ignorance. Before I even got out of bed this morning, I was praying for you. I haven't prayed for you every day, the ambassador pretty much every day, because I'm in communication with him pretty much every day, as I said, for almost 11 months now. And I've spoken with the Red Dragon, I've spoken with the historian, I've spoken with the M1 through an interpreter, and I've seen pictures of others of you, and have been told a lot of things about your wisdom, that you are part human, and some of you in part extraterrestrial. I think we're all part extraterrestrial, if the truth be known. In any case, I was told that after the communist revolution in China, many of you had to learn to live like ordinary people. You lost your status as a privileged class and had to learn mundane things that before you had servants to take care of for you. I hold that in high regard, and I appreciate the fact that some of you at least are willing to make huge changes. Now I'm told, and I read a lot of things about you possessing a great storehouse of gold. Perhaps as much as 95% of the world's wealth is controlled by the Chinese dragon family, or the Red Dragon family, as it's often referred to. But the Red Dragon family, if I go back, it has roots in Europe too, which, if that's true, the European roots are Illuminati and not necessarily honorable. So I don't know completely what truth is, or I should say what is truth and what isn't truth, because there's so much disinformation on the planet. But I wanted to be so bold, and I realize that there is a boldness to this, as to suggest to you some of the obstacles to human liberation that perhaps you'd be willing to address if indeed you control this great storehouse of wealth as part of a divine mandate, knowing that you are trustees, that it belongs to the people of the world who were enslaved truly from the conscious level against their will. And all of the wealth that was gathered, from my perspective anyway, belongs to those that helped create the wealth. And it's always been the creativity and labor of the people that has provided the wealth and the tokens of wealth, the gold and later the money systems. It is we, the people, that have enriched you. And the divine mandate is to set the people of creation free. And I don't care whether that's extraterrestrial in origin or whether it's terrestrial in origin. But you hold upon your shoulders, if indeed what I've been told is true, you hold upon your shoulders the possibility, the capability of helping to liberate humanity. Now, there are, as I see it, certain things that stand in the way of human liberation. Probably the biggest one, actually, is the creation of what we call the corporation. It is the business structure on planet Earth. And it's a problem because it allows people that own the corporations to escape accountability and to escape responsibility for their actions. It does not hold people in those positions responsible for even so much as telling the truth. In fact, they have master's degrees and PhDs in deception. You've had to deal with some of that yourself, according to the ambassador. Many times, people from the cabal, the Western criminal organization that many refer to as the Illuminati, they come to you and they promise that they're going to do this for humanity and that for humanity, and you didn't even bother checking. You just would fund the things, that they would always come to you for funding. Now that may or may not be true, but it's what I understand the truth to be. And so I'm basing what I'm saying on that revelation that the Western Alliance spends on war and spends on all of the other games that they play, the mind control games and the propaganda games and the psyops and everything else. And you have funded those things inadvertently, not realizing that they were being used against humanity. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But now you know. Some of you are learning. I've actually spoken with the Red Dragon myself. I know his name beyond the Red Dragon thing. I know the ambassador's name. I know the name of the historian. I have talked to these people, and so I know what I'm talking about. Now, are they telling me lies? I don't believe the ambassador is telling me lies, and I don't believe the Red Dragon is telling me. I don't believe any of the people that I've talked to have lied to me. But I don't know. I have no way of proving. I want to believe that there are people in the family that have a good heart, that are honest, that actually want to help humanity. I want to believe that very badly because it helps me believe that life has meaning. And so anyway, I think if you really want to aid humanity in breaking the bonds and the chains that have enslaved us, one of the first steps is to make all companies, corporations, including governments that pretend to be governments but are really just glorified corporations, make them all set out a mandate that they have to tell the truth and that they will be held accountable, and set up courts so that the people can bring action backed by actual authority and actual means of implementing. In other words, pay for the police and military and the enforcers, so that the enforcers will force the elite to tell the truth and to become accountable. Without that, there can be no liberation of humanity. The second thing is the financial fraud. Virtually all corporate contracts are fraudulent because they can only exist with other corporations, because contracts must have two parties or more that are equal. equal, not one subservient to the other, not one false and one real, but equal. And so you've had to turn all of the human beings, all of the human slaves into corporations without telling them. But that's an invalid contract on its face. It's based on fraud. Fraud has no statute of limitations. You need to right that wrong with financial tyranny. And the financial fraud that we're debtors, when in fact all the value on this planet comes from the labor and the creativity of the people. The value belongs in the people. It's vested in the people. And you have a mandate from heaven, I believe, and I want to believe, and that mandate is to set the people free. That means you have to tell the truth. That means the corporate structure that has allowed the corruption to go on, hidden, but yet in plain view to those that have eyes to see, it allows it to go on, and that has to stop. The financial tyranny and the fraud in contracts has to stop. All the debt needs to be erased in Jubilee. Maybe not the corporate debt, not the debt that the corporations owe, but the debt that the people owe. People need to be liberated. Human beings need to be set free. And there's disinformation in all of the major institutions, from the education to the religion, to the governments, to the again, to the corporations, and all of the major institutions on the planet, East and West, are nothing but disinformation mills, not telling the truth. If the ambassador's war on ignorance is to be won, you need to be setting up major media networks all over the world and funding them and financing them with the mandate to tell the people the truth. People are not going to be liberated from their slavery until we really know what the truth is about things. And we've been lied to so much, it's hard sometimes to discern the truth. Even those of us with some discernment abilities. It's hard to know the truth because of all the lies and disinformation that we've been flooded with all of our lives. And one final thing is that the elite lack empathy. So there's been a lot of talk in recent years about re-education camps. And I will suggest to you that the most important people to send to these re-education camps are the elite, are the CEOs, the presidents, the prime ministers, the people that hold titles of nobility, the attorneys, the judges. These are the people that need to be sent to re-education camps, not to be tortured, not to be punished, but to really be taught. Because if they lack empathy, it's because they've been trained to lack empathy. It too is a brainwashing technique. So the elite also have been brainwashed, and this needs to stop. You have the power to fund things that will really establish the groundwork for the awakening of humanity. And I prayed for your awakening today. I prayed for your transformation. I sat there on the edge of my bed, actually, going through the motions. And as I was going through the motions of rocking and weaving, which is not how I've normally prayed most of my life, but it's how I've been praying lately. And I was praying that you would see your mandate from heaven and have the courage to actually exercise it and put your money where your mouth is, so to speak, or more precisely, find it within your heart to actually fund the things that need to be funded so that the infrastructure supports the awakening, unlike the cabal, which does everything in its power to create infrastructure that keeps people from awakening. Because the elite in the West and the East, I'm sure, know that once the people are awakened, there's an egalitarian system put in place and everyone is free, even the elite. Because you're just as much in bondage because you're living a lie, and lies always hold you in bondage. They do not liberate. So I pray that you will take this to heart. I actually wrote this blurb yesterday while waiting for Aristo to get there, but then the ambassador and I talked, and I did another video in between. But I decided to go ahead with this because I want to believe that you have the spiritual connections that the ambassador has told me you do have. That you realize that your destiny is to help in the liberation of humanity. And I believe that Mr. Putin in Russia and other leaders around the world are also awakening along that line. But it's going to take a concerted effort on your part and conscious funding to fund the infrastructure that needs to be put in place to address the evils of our world and to give remedy to the people that is actually backed up by enforcement. And you have the ability to do that if you will have the will. So these are suggestions that I'm making to you, and I thank you for listening, and I pray that God's grace be bestowed upon you so that you can have your eyes and ears opened to the plight and cries of the people and to the voice of God that says, "Set my people free." Thank you, sirs and ma'am, for listening. Namaste.